All right. Is this working? Can we do it? Oh my gosh, what a palaver. Okay, so the first thing I would like you to do is let me know, say hello. Let me know if you can see this. I'm just going to test if it's working. Hello, everyone. It's Belinda Weaver here. Thank you for your patience with this Ask Me Anything session in For the Love of Copywriting. Right, I can see myself. Let's get going. So, 9 minutes of tech. Flaming. Okay, so what I want to do is I want you to say hello and let me know if you're tuning in live here. Say hello if you're tuning in live. Hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. There are a lot of really, really great questions for this AMA and I cannot wait to get started. Hi, Shari. Thanks for sticking with me. Of course, my computer needed to be rebooted just as I'm supposed to going live. So this is an Ask Me Anything session. These are the kind of sessions that I run in my Confident Copywriting group where we have a live coaching call every month. People can ask me whatever, but I also do coaching calls in my courses as well. But this one is free just for you. And as I said, we have lots of great questions. Shatone's here. Hi, Shatone. Shatone's doing my copywriting masterclass. Kaz is here from Melbourne. Helen from the copywriting masterclass here is as well. Excellent. Okay, so as I said, if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. If you're watching live, say g'day, let me know where you're calling in for. I am going to get stuck into the questions. I'm just opening them up right in front of me. Boy, oh boy, you guys really brought it when it came to the questions, and I'm really excited to dig in. So I am going to start with, here we go, just so I can keep on track. Okay, thanks for tagging, Kate. I appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to start with Sarah's question. Sarah, let me know if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Is how can I make my writing more interesting? And what I love about this question is this is part of what I'm going to be talking about in next month's training session here in For the Love of Copywriting. So I'm going to be talking about how to make boring topics more interesting, how to brainstorm interesting angles on boring topics, and how to make your writing itself more interesting. So I'm not going to go into a heap of detail right now, Sarah, but basically, if you're trying to make the writing that you're doing more exciting to read, the number one thing I can recommend is make sure it's relevant to your audience. Yeah, you really want to make sure that what you're writing about connects to the pain points of your audience and where they want to go. That is really how you make it more interesting to them. But then we can start looking at writing techniques. So what you can do is, as a general rule, long sentences are harder to read and a little bit more boring. Short sentences, super easy to read and add a lot of energy. So kind of a long frequency sentences and short punchy sentences. So if someone ever says, I need to make the copywriting pop a little bit, the key is add some shorter sentences. But what you really want to do in terms of your sentence lengths is have a variety, mix it up, have short sentences, one-word sentences, one-word paragraphs. Yes, you can do that. And medium length sentences and long sentences as well. And that will come down to your tone of voice, but that is how you can create an exciting rhythm to your copywriting. And then, of course, you can also make your writing more interesting by using more interesting words, slightly more visual or emotive vocabulary. So that's, and also things like comparisons, metaphors. That is how you can make things visual and emotive. That will also make your writing more interesting. So I'm just going to say, oh, hi, Renee. Renee is here. Copywriting Masterclass as well. Kate is here. Oh, so many people joining in. I'm really chuffed to have you all. So Sarah, that is my first answer to your first question. How can I make my writing more interesting? And of course, that is something I'm going to be digging into again in next month's free training session, which I've created the event for as well. So Sarah's asked a few questions. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to ask her one more from you, Sarah, and then I'm going to skip down the list and then I'm going to loop back. All right, so everyone gets a turn. Does product copywriting need to have a call to action and other elements like the AIDA, the attention, interest, desire, attention model or framework, or the PAS, pain, agitate, solve model? So I just think Does product copywriting need to have a call to action? Absolutely. Everything needs to have a call to action. Everything. Services pages need a call to action. About pages need a call to action. Product descriptions need a call to action, right? If you're writing, so product copywriting, I'm not sure if you mean product descriptions or copywriting about products, but yes, the answer is yes. Everything needs a call to action. Everything needs a headline and a call to action. So that's an easy one to answer. And other elements like copywriting formulas, and you've listed 2 here. And it depends. Copywriting formulas are awesome because they give you a framework that can be helpful to order your thoughts and the bullet points you want to make, but you don't necessarily use them for every single piece of copy. For example, you might open up with a statement of future pacing where someone wants to go. Let them try on where they want to end up. Or you might open with a pain. Now, to be honest, it all fits into a copywriting framework, no matter what you call it. Copy Hackers has an awesome blog with basically every copywriting formula you could ever use, and you will use them on different pieces of copy. So the too long didn't read about that is, does enter copywriting type here need a call to action? Yes. And does it need a framework? It doesn't have to have a framework, but damn, it makes things easier. All right. So Annie Obergefell, thank you. Let me know if I didn't say that right. Asks, how much do you charge at project onset? How do you determine that, what that number is? Is it a percentage of the total project cost? So, Annie, I have, and I recommend to my confident copywriters, and I think it's pretty much an industry standard now, 50% upfront. That is a standard commencement fee. Now, it used to be called a deposit. A lot of people still call it a deposit, but it's usually non-refundable. This is the amount that your client has to put down in order to get their project in your calendar. So that's why a commencement fee or a commencement invoice has a lovely accuracy to the language. And basically, you do a proposal that outlines the scope of the project and all the inclusions and the investment on your client. When they give you written approval of that proposal to go, yes, we want to go ahead, then you say, excellent. The first step is a 50% commencement invoice, which won't be a surprise to them because you've already told them upfront while you explain your process, and they pay that. And that's when you officially start the project. That's when you say, okay, the first thing we need to do is schedule the copywriting brief. I'm going to send you some information and a questionnaire. And once we do that, we will sit down and work out the project dates and milestones. But it doesn't start until they've paid the invoice. And that is usually 50% of the project total. All right. So Renee, hello. Renee asks, when working as a third-party contractor for a creative agency, who gives feedback on the copy? Is it the client, being the agency, or is it the end client? So that is a really great question, Renee, and it's usually both. Often what happens when you work for an agency is they will give feedback on the first draft. And that makes sure any kind of big mistakes or anything like that, or any big misdirections and all that kind of jazz gets changed. And then the client will actually give revisions on the next version 2. But if you're in a situation where you're working with an agency, ask that question. I always ask a lot of questions when I work with agencies. For example, do I get to speak to the client and get a brief from them, which is always so much more helpful. And if an agency has some friction around that, you can often say that you will position your services as a sub of the agency, where you say, hi, I'm Belinda. I'm working for DCB Digital Agency, and I'll be working on your copywriting. I would love to schedule a time to talk through a brief. Now, of course, you want to make sure the brief you're asking doesn't double up on questions the agency already has. And some agencies will not let you near the client. So, ultimately you can ask them what their process is and iron out the kinks of process alignment, before you get started. But a standard is the agency will often do the first draft revisions, and then the client won't get it until the agency is really happy with it. All right, Kate, who is also here, Kate Kearns. Hello, Kate. All right, hang on, I just got to see a comment from you. All right. Okay, Kate, Belinda, hi. I'd love to hear more about asking for testimonials and feeling confident about using them. What are the questions you ask to get a review? Also, I'd be putting them on my website and social, but they follow me on social, and for whatever reason, I feel weird about posting it. All right, or even asking them if I can. Is that dumb? That's dumb and impostery, but a hang up nonetheless. All right. Okay, Kate, this is a great question. So the questions I ask, you know what, actually, this is a resource in my Confident Copywriting group, and I am going to open it up right now and tell you the exact questions that I have asked clients, and that I have a template in Confident Copywriting. So you're getting the scoop here, but I need to open it up, right? So I'm opening up the Copywriter Starter Pack, which is where all the templates are. Do it. So there's a proposal, follow-up, discovery call, terms and conditions, number crunching, project checklist, work in progress. I should know this by now. Testimonial form template. Okay, these are the questions I ask. Now, what I want to quickly highlight, Kate, is to take some of the anxiety out of this process for you. Let the client know you're going to be asking. When you're explaining your process to a client, say, first we start with this, because you've got to explain the process. Clients are dissatisfied when they're anxious about what happens next. So my favorite line is, and then what happens is. And so while you're explaining your process, you can say, and it's about now that I'm going to ask you for a review of your experience. And don't worry, it's going to be super easy. I've just got some questions you can answer, and that'll be a great way to wrap up the project. All right, so let them know it's coming, and then don't worry about it again. All right, so the questions I ask are, here we go. I'm just scrolling down. This is a comprehensive resource. So what I actually do is have a testimonial. Rather than saying, can you write me a testimonial? I actually say, can you give me a review of your experience? So that kind of takes a little bit of the pressure out of it. And then they say, yeah, sure, absolutely. Because you're kind of asking for them to grade you or review you. And clients are helpful like that, right? You're just like, I just want to make it better. So I'd love to get your thoughts and your feedback on the experience of working with me. That has a lot less pressure than, can you write me a testimonial? Because clients will love to write you a testimonial, but then they'll open up the document or the email and go, it was good, right? So anything you can do to make it easier and less anxious for everyone involved is a good thing. So I have this project approval form. This is the formal end of the project where you say, this is the client, this is the company name, this is the project. Do you approve the copywriting? And they say, sure, yes. And then the next thing is, would you mind if I ask you a few questions about the experience of working with me? And they say yes or no. And they say, when they say yes, some questions come up like, did the copywriting meet your needs? And you can hear yes or no. And this is where you have to have fun with your microcopy. I booked your business name because. Now I like sentence prompts because it gives them a way to get started. I booked Copyright Matters because, and then you might have a note saying, outline the challenge or the project you needed done. Like, why did you need copywriting? One thing I really liked about the copywriting is ... I like the way your business name ... I found the whole experience to be ... I had to describe business name in 3 words, right? So this is a great question, because this will help you tap in to the words clients use to describe you, to describe your brand, to describe the experience of working with you. And this can really help fine tune your marketing going forward, right? Would I recommend business name to others? Hell yes. And I'd like to see this testimonial before it's published, yes or no, right? And basically what you want to do is, just going, yeah. You might also ask questions like, so just to recap, did the copywriting meet your needs? Yes or no? I booked you because, and this is the copywriting specific problem that led them to look for a copywriter. You could also ask why they chose you specifically. And then you want to find out how the copywriting met their needs. So one thing I really liked about the copywriting is I like the way your business name. And this is, I like the way Copyright Matters and Belinda kept me informed at every step. I had a clear sense of what I had to do, or I like the way they brought in my pub Fenris into a lot of the copywriting. That was really fun, right? And then you want questions. You could even ask them if they had any financial success as a result. That's a whole different conversation about tracking metrics, whether there was anything they loved or loathed about the service delivery. So that's, I found the whole experience to be 3 words that I could use to describe this experience is. Another question you might ask is, if there was one thing I could change about this, it would be, because you want to try and find your soft spots and your weak points. And if you can couch it like that, people have less issue. Like, if I could change one thing, like, they can answer that rather than, what did you hate? Crush me. So there are lots of ideas, Kate, in terms of asking testimonials, but the key is to just make it part of your process. Let the clients know that it's coming, so there's no emotion. You're not begging them for a proposal, and you're also asking questions, giving them sentence prompts, and then you put all the answers together, you send it to them and say, hey, Kate, I created this testimonial based on your answers to the questionnaire. What do you like? Is this okay to publish? And they say, yes, of course. Then you can take the next step and say, could you go over to my Facebook page reviews and pop it there? Because I can't do that for myself. Or go over to my LinkedIn page and pop it there. It is okay. Once they've got the text, all they have to do is cut and paste. Click the link you've given them, paste it on the page. It's super easy. Now, you said you feel weird about putting them on social. Don't even worry about it. This is not bragging. This is not a weird zone. This is marketing. And the clients that are looking at your social media and your website, they want to see that you've worked with people who freaking loved you. They want to see themselves reflected in the stories that you're sharing. That's your testimonials, right? So it's really important. It's also really important not to just share them once. You put them in continual rotation in your social media schedule. Really, really important. So it's not dumb. It's marketing. It's a hang up. You recognize it as a hang up, and that's really important, but it's not dumb. And it's just something that you put into the schedule. So step 12 of your project checklist is send them the project approval form and get a review. Step 13 is put that review together, get approval. Step 14 is publish it on social media with general woohoo and excitement. And step 15 is put it into your social media schedule. I'm totally making up the numbers of those steps, by the way. All right. So that was a good question. I hope that helps. So let me know if these answers are useful or if you have other questions to bounce. Okay. And Kate says, thank you for opening those questions up to us. No worries. No worries. What about retainer clients for testimonials? Absolutely. Okay, so this might be something where with a retainer agreement, you might have regular markers in the project where you say every 3 months, we're going to check in and see what's going well and what we can work on. That might be when you go, hey, I would love to get a review of the experience you're having so far, right? Just work those into your project plan. If you have like this never-ending retainer thing, you need to start introducing milestones as well, because where you renegotiate the contract, check out the rates, ask them what's working well, what we need to work out, because it's all about process. It's not personal. It's what can we change in the process to make your work and my work a lot easier. Oh, and while we're chatting, would you mind me asking some questions so I can get a sense of the experience of working with you so far? Bish, bosh, done. All right. For new clients, Kate, you also asked, do you charge upfront or do a 50% upfront and then the rest when the first submission is done? Yes, exactly. So that's what Sarah asked as well. It's 50% to get the books, get the project into your books. That's a commencement invoice. It's a non-refundable amount that nothing happens until that is paid. And if they drag their feet and another project comes in, then they get the next available spot you have. So when the next invoice goes out is kind of a matter of personal preference. So some people charge it with the first draft. And the idea here is that they're really just paying for the first draft and the revisions are free. The revisions are bonus, right? So that's the kind of mindset impression that you want to give your clients. You're actually paying for the first draft. So when I hand over the first draft, that's when the invoice comes in. But you don't want to hand over the copy and the invoice in one email, right? You want to send the invoices separately, even a few days later, to give them a chance to look at the copy. Now, what I do is a little bit different. I send the invoice with the second draft. And the reason is I don't like getting invoices with the first draft because it makes me kind of a bit panicky that it's not going to get done. It's not going to get finished. The revisions aren't going to be applied because they're going to move on to the next project, right? So if I can recognize that sense of kind of sweaty anxiety in myself, then it's probably going to be in my clients. Now, that doesn't mean it can't be managed, but what I like to do is I do 50% upfront, and then the final invoice comes with the second draft, because then we've been through a revision cycle. The copy is really starting to look like we're in the home stretch. And so then when you do the second invoice, you're saying, right, we've still got one round of revision, so there is plenty of time and space to get this copy just right. And then what happens is it's professionally proofread. We will do a project approval process and life will be awesome. So remember, and then what happens next is let the client know what happens. Let them know that the invoice isn't going to be a surprise, and you would have told them a few times when you explain your process. And don't send the invoice and the copy together in one email. Separate your writing and your finances. Woo! All right. So I'm going to have a quick sip of water. Talk amongst yourselves. Working down my list. Such great questions, guys. I also want to loop back to something you said, Kate. I love looking back at the big hurdles and seeing how they were actually miniature in my life. So this will soon be one of them. Yes. Excellent. We've always got to recognize how far you have come. All right. So that's the questions in the comments post. I just want to quickly check the comments coming in. La, la, la. Okay, cool. Excellent. Love the chat going on. Okay, cool. Just checking in with everyone. Excellent. Let's move on. So, Sarah, you asked another question, and it says, oh, this is a recent one. So I'm actually going to go all the way to the bottom. Janie Rose, let me know if that's not right or right. So I'm going to say Janie for now. My question is easy to ask, not so easy to do. I can write okay. I'm not a copywriter, but I love that you acknowledge a skill that you have. I have ideas, I have the content, I have the time, sort of. I love that. I have the timelines, but I just can't seem to start. This is a good one. How do I create habits around this? I know I can stack it all in one day, a month. I know I can diarize it as an event. I know how to type, but I still don't do it. I think about doing it a lot, but it does not create action. What's wrong with me? Nothing. Absolutely nothing is wrong with you, Janie. You're a wonderful person, and this is a fantastic question. So I just want to see if Janie's here. I'm not sure if she's here. Okay, cool. But you'll still get the replay. Now, this is totally my jam, this idea of productivity, time management, getting shit done. Because, of course, I run Copyright Matters around two small humans, 3-year-old, 7-year-old, a pug, a husband. Now we've got distance learning, minimal daycare, because, of course, I'm in the States. My parents are in Australia, and there's a pandemic going on, so I can't get a babysitter. So that's just life, what it is right now. So I've become, I was very good at focusing my time and energy, and now I'm very good. And you know what? That's not ego. That's just what we all need to do, is acknowledge what we have on our skill set, just like you did, Janie. So I love that. Right. Now it's just the starting. So, understand that you could do it all on one day, have a theme day, right? This is one way to do it. You have a theme day. You do all your marketing on one day, you do your content on another, you do your client work on another, and this can do for any business. That's never worked for me, to be honest. And the reason is my life with little people, I don't get a whole day, right? I've got maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 with the telly on. So I have to do a lot of things on the work days that I do it. But I love that you recognize that is my idea. The next idea is book yourself meetings where you say, right, I'm booking an hour meeting for myself and it's going into my calendar and I'm going to write some copy, or I'm going to do a social media power hour or something like that, right? That's another effective technique that you can use to schedule time for yourself. And it's called calendar blocking as well. And what that also means is when you look at your calendar, especially if you use color coding, when you look at your calendar, you can very easily see when you have free time and when you do not. So I love that you put those ideas. You would know those ideas. Hopefully, let me know if you're watching whether those two ideas might be something you give a go. Now, one thing I also do is I spend time on Sunday afternoon looking at my week, working out what my top priorities are. Because for me, I always have a mix of short-term needs immediate action, like stuff I need to do today, stuff I need to do this week, stuff I need to do this month, and stuff I need to do for a deadline in a couple of months. Like this is my courses and my coaching. I got to launch next week. Confident Copywriting is opening next week, and I have been chipping away at the list of things to do for a long time now. So what I like to do each week is have a very clear sense of what are my priorities, and that's what needs to be action now to earn some money, and what are the tasks that will move me forward towards my goals. So I really recommend you spend some time mapping your week out. At the end of every day, I make a list for the following day, and I never have more than 3 to 5 things on the list. And I don't mean big things, I mean little things. And this is where I think you might get some traction. I would love to know whether on your to-do list there are great big things or tiny little things, because I know when there are tiny little things on my list, I build some momentum. And with my copywriting, I don't start with the headline. I don't start with the first sentence. I start with the things I know. I start with some easy stuff. And it's like, I know there's a whole eat the elephant first, or, Adam, thanks very much. Eat the elephant first, lick the frog first, whatever it is, do the hard, gross stuff first, and that's all done for the day. I like to do some easy stuff first. I like to build some momentum, get my fingers working. So my advice for you, Janie, is to be clear on your priorities for the week. And it sounds like you are. And if you are not starting, I would give yourself a couple of easy things to do to get the ball rolling. I would make sure that your to-do list doesn't have like get launch ready. That's got a million small tasks assigned to it. Have it full with small actionable tasks, so you start getting that little dopamine hit of getting it done. Tick, tick, tick. I love that feeling. Click, click, click through Asana, right? So when you have a clear idea of what it is you need to focus on, and you are so welcome, then you give yourself a few easy things to get started, you'll build some momentum. But the other thing I want to recommend is that you become really dialed into what's stopping you. So for me, it's Facebook and email. They are my nemesis when it comes to focus and productivity. So what I have to do when I have to get shit done, I have to close them down. I really have to close them down, because that means when I have to open them, I have all notifications turned off, but I have to be really intentional about opening them, and then I can have a little scolding moment with myself. But when I work by the Pomodoro system, 25-minute focus zones. So I don't have to work for 3 hours solid. All I have to do is just this one thing for 25 minutes. And I have a clock ticking, and I have some music going. And then in 25 minutes, I take a break and I see where I'm at, and then I go on to the next thing. So I recommend you use a couple of those things together to get you started and keep you focused. And it starts with being really dialed in to what is distracting you, because really the excuses, I had this from Linda Perry today. Where is this? I have to read it out. I had a call with Linda Perry yesterday, and Linda Perry's a mindset coach, and she's bloody brilliant. I'm just going to open my Insta feed. Where is she? Linda Perry, right? So her latest post said, your excuses are the way that you resist reaching your goals. Your excuses are the way you resist reaching your goals. Linda Perry And this is something we talked about where basically we can, oh, well, I'm too busy. I don't have time. I have to do this. I have to do that. I had to walk the dog. It's just bullshit. It's the way we sabotage ourselves from moving forward. And the first thing is to acknowledge that we're doing it. The second thing is to list out the ways that we're doing it. And then the third thing is to make some plans to overcome those reasons. Will this stay on my page? Absolutely. The AMAs, I load them up to YouTube, but it stays in the group for all time. All right. So that was a big, long, hairy answer, and I hope it was useful. Don't try and do all the things. Maybe just try one thing at a time, yeah? All right. That was a great question. I love talking about stuff like that. I really, really do. All right. Is that it? I think that's it. I think that's the end of the questions. Woo! 40 minutes. Hang on. Yes? All right, cool. We've got some pumpkin stuff happening at the front. So you've got me here. Hang on. Can you ask your sister to pour the milk? That's very full. Very full milk. All right, so you've got me here. Have any other questions popped up? I'll refresh the page. I'll put a link to this Facebook Live in the AMA event, which means you can go back and access it anytime. All right, I'm just checking. I think I got them all. All right. Oh, Amy, I missed your question. Oh, and Sarah's other big question. Excellent. There's more. Okay. Amy asks, hi, Belinda. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how to go about securing more retainer work. Great question. We actually have talked about this recently on a confident copywriting coaching call. And so what you want to try and do is you want to identify clients that you're working with. So the easiest way, the low-hanging fruit, are the clients that come to you with lots of work all the time, right? Where they're saying, oh, can you do my website? Oh, can you do an email? Oh, we've got a little social thing going on. Can you write a product description? Can you give us some new bios? It's this kind of like constant little drip feed of projects coming through. They are ripe for a retainer because then you get to say, hey, I've got this really great way that we can make working together a lot more efficient, both in time and your budget. And it means that you'll get some locked in time in my calendar every single month. And then you can work your retainer. Is it by regular project deliverables, like you do the newsletter every month, or do you do blogs every month? Or is it by hours where they get 2, 5, 10 hours of yours every month and they can fill it with what they want? So that's one. So the clients who are asking you for this and that and this and that and this and that and the other, you suggest a retainer agreement to save them money because there's often a little kickback to getting a retainer and to lock time in your calendar. Now, if you're actually going about, you want to land retainer projects from people you don't know, create a retainer package page, right? Start talking about retainer packages. In your marketing, start talking about, and this goes for new niches, existing niches, type of people you want to work with, all the things. If you want to attract people who want a specific thing from you, start talking about that thing a lot. So create a retainer package page, share it on social media, talk about the awesome retainer clients that you work with, talk about why you love doing retainer packages. Remember, always linking it back to what's in it for me, why the clients benefit and how they benefit from this option, and just talk about it. The stories you share will absolutely determine the type of clients that you attract. So that's another way. 2 ideas for you there. Amy, I hope that's useful. Okay, Sarah, now I'm at the top of the list. Silly question. It's never a silly question. All questions are awesome questions. And this is a big question. What's the best way to land clients? How and where do we find them? So what I'm going to drop in response, Hot Copy Podcast. This is what you need to Google, Sarah. Hot Copy Podcast, getting clients. This is an episode that we did. I'm going to pull it up right now and I'm going to drop it into the comments check this out, right, of your question, Sarah. And basically, we talk about a lot of the different ways that you can find clients. Now, what I will say is you have to be marketing. Always be marketing, because the big difference, I'm just going to pull this up, the big difference between copywriters who make it and copywriters who don't is their marketing. I'll say that again. The biggest difference between the copywriters who make it and the copywriters who don't is down to their marketing. You can be the best writer in the world, but if no one knows who you are, who cares? And the copywriters who do make it aren't necessarily the best writers, right? But they market themselves. So how do you market themselves? You have a digital presence. You have a website. You have content that you share. Now, you can either create content or you can curate content, which means that you share other people's content and it's aligned with the topics that you want to be known for. And you maybe have something like a newsletter and stuff like that, right? You can still become an industry hub without creating lots of content. You can curate the content, right? So that's your content marketing sorted out. You need to have a digital footprint where people, when they meet you, when they hear about you, they can Google you. Even if you're not on page 1 of Google, they can go to your website and see what you're all about and see what you do. Then you also need to be building your relationships. That is where the converting clients come from. People who go, oh, I know a copywriter, Sarah, she's awesome. I'll give you her details. Because when we're looking for solution providers to the problems that we have, the worst thing is going on Google and typing in copywriter, because it's just squillions and squillions of responses and we have no connection to any of them, and it just makes our process harder. But when we go to our network and go, hey, I need some copy written. Does anyone know a copywriter? And someone goes, oh, I do. I've worked with her before and she's really good. I'm like, cool, done, right? There might still be some points of comparison, but word of mouth referral would be my number one strategy to invest in. Start going to networking events when we can all get together in person, but start going to things online. Join Facebook groups, start answering questions, start being known as the copywriter that people know. And while copywriting communities like Confident Copywriting are awesome, right? They're supportive. You will learn and grow and have a cheerleading community. And there are free groups like this, right? But your ideal clients probably aren't hanging out here. So I encourage you to go to business groups on Facebook or even LinkedIn, but it tends to be a spam fest over there. Business groups, business networking groups, where your ideal clients are. If you're serving coaches, and membership makers, get in on those groups. If you're serving small business owners, get in on those groups. There are Facebook groups for everything. Be helpful, be relevant, be generous, and become known as a copywriter that people are connected to. And then, of course, the podcast goes through some more ideas. So always be marketing, always be building relationships. And that's, really the cornerstone of how you make it as a copywriter. You learn your craft, you participate in networking, you build relationships, you join communities, and you're always taking care of business as well. And that's where groups like Confident Copywriting can help, because it's the templates and the processes and the leads and the focus on what you need to know to grow your business. Because, we get into copywriting because we love to write. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, I gotta balance my books. I gotta do marketing all the time. I gotta write a blog. I've got to manage my inbox. I've got to manage other people as well. It's a completely new skill set that we have to be on top of. But you're a business owner now. When you're a freelance copywriter, you are a business owner and you can do it. So I hope I've given you lots of ideas. Amanda says a lot of my work is from word of mouth. That's right. Amanda's in my Confident Copywriting group, and investing in relationships will absolutely pay dividends, but it won't pay dividends straight away. You don't want to be that knob jockey who comes up to a networking event and goes, here's my business card, and is kind of evaluating people on whether they're worth talking to. Give generously, be relevant, be helpful, be the copywriter that people know. And it will pay off. It's a long-term strategy that can pay off short-term as well. Kaz says, thank you, great AMA. I'm so glad. Julie says, thank you so much. Some great ideas for me. Absolutely my pleasure. You guys asked me some great questions. All right, I'm just going to refresh, see if there's any more. I really have answered all the questions now. And We are just over the 45-minute mark, so that works out well. I'm going to see if the milk got poured successfully, because of course, like many parents doing their work and all sorts of jazz from home, I just have to I set up an activity and hope to God that no one dies while I'm on a call. So, we'll see how they're going out there. Thank you for your awesome questions. Now, next I'm going to do AMAs. Sonia says, thanks, Bill, stay gold. And thank you, Shari, and thank you, Helen. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the love. So Confident Copywriting is open next week. This is exactly the kind of things that we do every single month. And sometimes we have a specific focus where I give people food for thought, or we have someone come in, a member, talk about something that they're nailing. But otherwise, in actual fact, these are questions that can be asked all month long. I'm always answering questions. No question goes unanswered. So that's opening next week. If you're a copywriter, and that's something that you're interested in, I'll drop a link because I'm only emailing people on the waitlist/invite list. And here is the link to get on the invite list. I clearly can't type and talk about something different for Confident Copywriting. It is just for I love that picture, Julie. Thank you. Confident Copywriting. It's not going to be, it might not be right for you, but it's for aspiring copywriters, working copywriters, growing copywriters, and copywriters who are stretching and scaling and owning it right now. So, if you're interested, get on the invite list, and it might be something you're like, I just want to hear some more. There's no obligation to join up, but it could be, in December. In November, we've got Joe Klecky coming in. We're going to do some work on hero statements in USP. In December, it's a money month where I've got 2 experts coming in to boost our financial literacy, give us a budget template, learn how to manage our cash flow and stuff like that. Lots of good stuff to set up 2021. That's what it's all about. But it's not a pitch fest. Oh, all right. Stay awesome, everyone. This replay will live here. If you're watching the replay, let me know, #replay. And I will see you all very, very soon. Have an awesome rest of your day.